Hi, this is the fourth video on how to market study abroad to students. And this time I want to talk about the CSAP program and how we get our information out there on the student level. One of the things that's really important to us in study abroad is partnerships. And partnerships take different forms. There's the formal partnerships where we have agreements with overseas institutions, which is very important because that's where we send our students. So that formal partnership is what most people think of, but I'd like to talk about what I call informal partnerships or silent partners. And that's our campus partners, the people around us who look at study abroad and the value of it, have experienced it themselves, and say, that's something worth being involved in. That's something that's important to me. This is something that's interesting. And we want to focus on the people who are already interested. If there's a professor in a field that has nothing to do with study abroad and no interest, we're not going to sit there and try to get them on board. We're not going to take the time to say, hey, you need to be involved in our work. No, not at all. That's like getting me to buy a KitchenAid mixer. It's better to just let him or her do their work in their field, and we do what's interesting to us and work with the people who can help us. And those are easy to define. We know who they are, but it's focusing on them and saying, how do we give them the tools, the experience, the knowledge that we have to study abroad to get out to their students, or how can we partner with them to use their platform with the students to speak on what the value is of study abroad. So it's very, very important that we ask for that help, and there's no money involved. There's nothing that they get, but it's that internal, this is something that's important, this is something I want to help my students to do. One of the big things we need to do too is look to educate departments on study abroad, and students too, because they know it's there, but a lot of them don't understand the process or even best practices because their job and focus is on their concentration and what they need to do and in their departments. It's not taking that next step most of the time to say, okay, this is how you study abroad. There's a few professors that do it and do it marvelously, and students come to us because of them, because they're working to help students. But the reality is the educational component is lacking. I had a discussion with a professor, a former professor of mine, and now I would consider a friend, in the ICC department on languages, and I got to thinking about it because it hit me one day. I learned about study abroad through my advisor, never through the classrooms. And I was in international culture and communications. I was in the language department. And it's not that everybody wasn't doing their job or someone was errant. It was my job to get it. But it just never came into the curriculum for some reason. And it might have been the study abroad office, it might have been the department, but the partnership wasn't established so that there was a way for someone to bring study abroad into the classroom. And that's something we need to look at. That's something we need to have the discussion with our partners, or at least our silent partners, to say, how do we help you, or how can we help you to get the message out in an easy, concise format that's not invasive and doesn't take up a lot of time, but that students who are interested can access it. That brings us to CSAP. The old CSAP, the way it was done previously, was done basically the way I would have done it up until recently, and that's on the TV model of we have students go out, consume the programs, and come back and share them in little bursts and little classrooms in blanket format to usually freshmen, but also other people who want to be involved. And it worked. It was effective for what we had, but I'd like to submit to you that if we use internet tools, it'll be far more effective, far less work, and more will get done. And the way to do that is to use video. Exactly what I'm doing right now. We take this here, we talk to the professor first and say, I'd like to make a customized video for you, which will probably take an hour worth of work, that talks about the programs that possibly could be involved, how study abroad works, and you can show it to your classroom. What would you like me to put in it? What would you like to see? What's important to you? If it's the professor who's working with the Cologne, Germany program, they give input and feedback, and it creates a stronger partnership and relationship. The video's done, you send it via email, post it on YouTube, and everybody sees it. The professor will gladly put that in their class. You can name the professor with their permission in the video and say, this professor will help you here, 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 and here. They show it at the beginning of a course with possibly an email at the bottom added, and that's something we need to look into, the technology about how do we get the videos to not to be professional, but to be in a way that students can get the most information out of them. But have it so that the professor shows it in class and the students who want to do it. This is a really important connection, and it's important that we go to them first and make that personal connection, not in an email, but to say, hey, I've got this idea, what do you think? This is what our office is working on now. And say, how do we help you to get students to travel? How do we help you to show students what's out there? And where can we make a resource? Because we don't want to be an information center, but we want to be a resource that people can pull on when they need it. And we want to make that resource somewhere else. It's what one computer tech calls put it in the cloud, where everything lives in the cloud and you just go back to the cloud when you need your information. That's databases, video, things like that. YouTube's very good for the cloud. And so they can just go to the cloud and pull it out. They don't even have to talk to us. We can focus on other things. We can focus on making sure our programs are better because the marketing is being done with the help of the professors in tandem, which is what they want to do anyway. As far as the way CSAP was done about, even if students go and do the TV model where they just consume and come back, why not make a video in the office in the conference room where we sit, do the, just have cards, set a camera up, and I think the intern, if I have one, is going to be someone who has AV technology, someone in the video department who can use this on their personal website to show how they help to innovate study abroad, how they help to do the video editing. There's also free video editing software, and I think you can pick really good software up for about $100. It's not anything that's too expensive. But have the student, instead of facing into the camera like this, have them do the profile shot where the camera's set up on the side, they turn, and you have cards, and you just flip up the card saying, what's your name? And the student turns, like so, says, hi, I'm such and such, and I went to Ecuador. I went to Spain. That's it. They do the whole thing that way. We use that for CSAP. It's good to put people up in front of classes and use them that way, but we can take their information and their experience as they get it, put that out, and post that on the web in whatever format we find, and that's another discussion, is how do we do this? But put that out there and have students just watch it in their dorm rooms. Have professors use it in class. If this was a student 2 years ago who went, again, professors are going to use the videos in their class to talk as our silent partners to say, hey, this is what's happening. And it creates a stronger relationship where professors have a platform to get the word out about study abroad, which they want to do. Students have a platform to speak and be known and to connect with students. And instead of having to be emailed about a program, we make up a template and say, this was what the program was like, this is what the food was like, this is how I interacted with the program. And we take all the things that students ask us most frequently and we put those in the video. A little editing, free intern, and our marketing problems, not that they'll completely go away, but they'll be completely innovated. So let me know what you think. Thanks a lot.